City. The Parks Enforcement Patrol contract that the Battery Park City Authority has with the New York City Parks Department remains in effect, and that includes our current 24/7 coverage. Hello, Captain. That
there was a good deal of applause when people heard that the PEP officer contract was still in force. So I'm just wondering if that could be clarified. Like, is it the same number of people? Is it still month to month, or is there a longer commitment, or how is that?
There isn't a month-to-month contract, so its term expires on January 31st, and we're currently talking to the Parks Department of what it might look like in the future.
So currently, is the discussion including the same number?
We're talking to people. We're talking to the Parks Department directly. We are in negotiations with them.
Thank you.
That's what the answer.
No, look. We understand the concern. We understand the concern, and I think for those folks, one moment, miss, just one moment, because I want to respond to the last question. Okay, we understand the concern. We went through a process. It's a public process. We have signed a contract to bring additional services, a portion of what the PEP folks were providing has been contracted out to another provider. That's a signed contract. We've got it. It will happen. The question becomes, does PEP continue to provide a portion of the services that only they can provide? And we would like them to do that. That's why we're in the discussion with them, to try to see if we can work it out. I will note for the record, we were obligated to handle this in a certain way, a certain protocol that we have to follow. We had no response from PEP during that process. We didn't have the opportunity to engage them as we were going through that process, so we did the best we could. I'm sorry, we need to take questions as people raise their hands. But what I'm communicating to you is that we have a signed contract. A portion of these services are going to change from one provider to another. We are highly confident that there will be no diminution of any quality of what is being provided, and there are things that we believe PEP should provide, and we're hopeful that we can reach an arrangement with them. We have not yet done so. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Justine Pucha, and I'm actually following up with the PEP question. For the record, part of why we're so frustrated as a community is the miscommunication and the half-truths that are coming forward. Saying and eliciting the...
Okay, well,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
But saying and eliciting the applause, saying the contract is in effect, it's true for the next 30 days. And then it will go through, if nothing is solved, for the next 30 days. That's not what we as a community are asking you. We're asking you, what's the deal? What's next? So what has happened, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the PEPs are still in effect, the contract as it is in effect, and there's negotiations going on. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next step is that the ambassadors, the safety ambassadors who came and presented at the community board, very nice people, they came and presented, and that contract has been hired, despite the fact, has that been?
It's been signed.
It's been signed, okay. Despite the fact that at that community board meeting in December, it was promised that nothing would be done until you came back and spoke to us.
I don't. Listen. Okay. Forgive me. I wasn't present at the meeting that you referenced.
That's okay. The problem. That is part of the problem.
Okay. Well, we you know what?
I was there, Dennis. I was there.
Okay.
And I didn't make a commitment that we wouldn't sign the contract. I said we had a couple of weeks to consider the input we heard at the meeting, and VJ, who has been working diligently on this, and having conversations with the parks folks, is in the middle of negotiating a blended security infrastructure for our neighborhood, where we will complement the PEPs with Allied Barton, so that with the increased activity and population in the neighborhood, we'll be protecting not just the green space, but more of the community space. So we're hoping to reach a cooperative resolution with the Parks Department. But the other thing I will tell you is, and this is part of the frustration that I have to bear as a board member and as a community person. Some of the facts of the commercial interests of the contract negotiation, the performance issues, etc., are not open to a lot of public scrutiny in the middle of a contract negotiation. And so we can't share the details, and there does have to be some forbearance when you're trying to construct one of these arrangements. And I understand that it's not always satisfactory to hear about these things, on a time lag. But I will say, and we got to do a better job of this. These RFPs have been in the public domain for months, and they articulate the kinds of topics that we're trying to look at, etc. Justine, one of the reasons that we're here tonight is that I've asked Sherry and Dennis, and that our staff be more proactive with the agenda that we have in front of us. And, we talk about some of these issues, but they're not always going to result in things that are going to make everybody happy.
Certainly.
So,
Okay, there's one additional point that needs to be made, because it goes to the heart of the point you raised, which is a legitimate point. Okay, the negotiation with the new provider went on for weeks, and we finalized all of those arrangements in November. That contract was finished, execution ready, and as far as I knew, was completed by about the middle of November. We got a query from some of your representatives, the elected officials, on the 2nd of December. It happens that was the very day that the formal contract was executed. Now, as a result of the meeting that you had at the community board, as a result of the letter we got from the elected officials, we re-engaged with PEP. This discussion we're having here tonight about a joint role to provide this service in this area results from the pushback we got from you guys and the concerns you expressed. So we're trying to be responsive. But this, as Martha says, was out there for a long time. It was out there for a long time. It's in the public domain, and we had no response from PEP during the entire RFP process. So, and for us to violate the protocols that are set by law is something we're not going to do. So sometimes it creates some tension.
That said, and I appreciate, Martha, everything that you said, what really just rankles and makes me, and I think everybody in this room, angry, is that had we not come forward and asked the question and had the doors closed, we would have walked out of here with the assumption that the PEP contract was in place, there was no question about it, and nothing changed. And it's
no, you wouldn't have, because I heard the comments, and you were never going to leave this room without some clarification from me. Okay? The contract is signed, it's been executed, we're going to implement it, and you were never going to leave this room without understanding that. Pardon?
I'm talking about Allied Barton.
I'm talking about Allied Barton.
I'm talking about the PEP and what was said. The way that it's presented, it's not clear.
We don't have clarity yet because we have no deal with PEP.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying.
No, forgive me. Okay.
No, guys, because
and we
getting what I'm saying.
And yes. What we said was the PEP contract is in force, and we are in negotiations.
No, that's not what you said.
No.
That is what you said in answer to the woman's question in front of me. What you said during the presentation was PEP contract is in effect.
Yeah.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
And that's the words committee. And that is what bothers me, because had this been a closed meeting where you weren't going to ask questions, that would have been the message. That's why everybody clapped. And what frustrates me is what I'd like to make the bridge of the gap here. I get that you've got to do things, that you can't always hold our hands or have us hold your hands. We get that. The problem is the trust is broken between the
Okay,
community
well,
board.
we have to work to restore it.
and so
But
that's
we're
step
not going to
one.
have meetings like this where we don't allow questions. There's no such thing as a meeting like this
Which
that
is-
we don't allow questions, which gives
Thank
people
you.
the opportunity to press and get the details they want. We have to do a better job. But just please understand, we have constraints in how we can operate.